The United Kingdom will build new nuclear-powered attack submarines, get its army ready to fight a war in Europe, Prime Minister Keir Starmer said Monday, as part of a boost to military spending designed to send a message to Moscow and Washington. According to Associated Press, Starmer told workers and journalists at a Navy shipyard in Scotland that Britain cannot ignore the threat posed by Russia, as he pledged to undertake the most sweeping changes to Britain's defences since the collapse of the Soviet Union more than 3 decades ago. Like other NATO members, the UK has been reassessing its defence spending since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. The government announced military plans in response to a strategic defence review commissioned by Starmer and led by George Robertson, a former UK Defence Secretary and NATO Secretary-General. It's the first such review since 2021, and lands in a world shaken and transformed by Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. And by the re-election of President Donald Trump last year. Months after Britain's last major defence review was published in 2021, then Prime Minister Boris Johnson said with confidence that the era of fighting big tank battles on European landmass are over. 3 months later, Russian tanks rolled into Ukraine. Starmer's centre-left Labour Party government says it will accept all 62 recommendations made in the review, aiming to help the UK confront growing threats on land, air, sea, and in cyberspace. Measures include increasing production of submarines and weapons and learning the lessons of Ukraine, which has rapidly developed its drone technology to counter Moscow's forces and even hit targets deep inside Russia. The government said the UK will also establish a cyber command to counter daily Russia-linked attacks on Britain's defences. Monday's announcements include building up to 12 nuclear-powered, conventionally armed submarines under the AUKUS partnership with Australia and the United States. The government also says it will invest £15 billion in Britain's nuclear arsenal, which consists of missiles carried on a handful of submarines. Details of those plans are likely to be kept secret. The government will also increase conventional Britain's weapons stockpiles with up to 7,000 UK-built long-range weapons. Starmer said rearming would create a defence dividend of well-paid jobs, a contrast to the post-Cold War peace dividend that saw Western nations channel money away from defence into other areas. Defense Secretary John Healey has said the changes would send a message to Moscow and transform the country's military following decades of retrenchment, though he said he does not expect the number of soldiers, currently at a 2-century low, to rise until the early 2030s. Healey said plans for defense spending to hit 2.5% of national income by 2027 a year are on track, and that there's no doubt it will hit 3% before 2034.
I can announce today that we're going to build at least 6 new munitions factories in the United Kingdom, generating over 1,000 jobs. We will build thousands of new long-range weapons in the United Kingdom to boost European deterrence, supporting around 800 more jobs. We will defend our homeland by investing in our air and missile defence to better protect these islands. We will create a hybrid Royal Navy, blending drones with warships, submarines and aircraft to patrol the North Atlantic and beyond, supporting thousands of brilliant shipbuilding jobs, including right here in Govan. Under our AUKUS alliance with the US and Australia, we will now deliver up to 12 attack submarines protecting Britain's waters, scaling up the industrial base in Barrow and all along the supply chain to deliver a new sub every 18 months, again creating thousands of jobs. We will also invest in world-leading drone capabilities and battlefield technology, in better kit for our warriors abroad, and better housing for them and their families at home. And finally, I can confirm today that we are investing £15 billion in our sovereign warhead programme to secure our deterrent for decades to come, creating 9,000 jobs and thousands more in supply chains across the country. First, we are moving to warfighting readiness as the central purpose of our armed forces. When we are being directly threatened by states with advanced military forces, the most effective way to deter them is to be ready. And frankly, to show Show them that we're ready to deliver peace through strength. We'll build a fighting force that is more integrated, more ready, more lethal than ever, backed by a stronger strategic reserve, fully trained and ready to mobilise at any time. Second, everything we do will add to the strength of NATO. As we step up to take greater responsibility for our collective defence, the NATO alliance means something profound. That we will never fight alone. It is a fundamental source of our strategic strength. That's why our defence policy will always be NATO first, something that's written through this review. The transformation we are driving in our defence must add up to Britain's biggest contribution to NATO since its creation, so that when we're building new capabilities at home, we are making our allies safer too, strengthening Europe and strengthening our bridge to the US as Britain's first partner in defence. Third, we will innovate and accelerate innovation at a wartime pace, so we can meet the threats of today and of tomorrow as the fastest innovator in NATO. Now, this doesn't mean replacing people or hardware. Quite the opposite. It means learning the lessons of Ukraine, which I've discussed many times with President Zelenski, to ensure that every capability we have works seamlessly together.
Footage has been released showing the truck used for drone strikes on a military airfield in Russia's Irkutsk region. Videos shared on Telegram channels show drones taking off from the truck and heading toward the airfield. Shortly afterward, the truck was hit and set on fire. It is noted that strategic bombers used for attacks on Ukraine were destroyed during the assault on the airfield. The operation was organized and carried out by the Security Service of Ukraine.
Это очередь нахуй. О, нихуя себе дела, блядь. Оказывается, пидорас, оказывается. Во, блядь. Менты промазали, нахуй. Ёбаный, он опять туда полетел, сука, в эту гущу, нахуй. Вот еще один, сука, пидорас. Вот он, еще один пидорас. Вон эта хуета горит, машина с краю стояла, нахуй, сука. Вот он, от нее коптеры полетели, в рот их ебать. Они тут сцепились, нахуй. На этой стоянке, ёбаный, на Валентинск, нахуй. Вот, 4 или 5 коптеров я снимал, блядь. Они сначала уебались, там, эти панели, нахуй, как бы эти, для солнечные. Что-то там они разбирались, нахуй, и, короче, все. И не стало никого, нахуй. И смотрю, блядь, один коптер взлетает, второй коптер взлетает, третий, четвертый, ебаный. И вон дым, нахуй. Это аэродром, похоже, нахуй.